Welcome to Auction version 4, the event management software tool from Auction Systems. This video is an introduction to the data entry for names task. The names data entry area can be found on the main home task ribbon. Click Data Entry and then click Names. This is the action ribbon for names data entry. In Actions, there is an Add button where you can add a new name to the list of names or duplicate an existing name record. Why would you want to duplicate an existing name record? Maybe you have a couple that own a business and have made a donation. The couple is already in your data as a donor with their company name included in their record. You would like to make an invitee record for the same couple and not include the company name. Duplicate the donor record, marking the duplicate record as invitee rather than donor. Remove the company name from the second record and assign the bid number to that invitee record. The donation will still be attached to the original record. Or maybe someone in your data has an adult child living in the parent's home or at least using the parent's address as their mailing address. Rather than adding the adult child to the parent's record, since the adult child will be responsible for any purchase he or she makes at the event, duplicate the parent's name record and then replace the parent's name with the adult child's name. You won't need to retype in the address to the duplicate record because when duplicating a record, all the contact information but none of the purchases and payments from the original record gets copied to the duplicate record. The next button is the Save button, and then the Save and Add. Save saves a record, Save and Add saves the current record, and then opens a new blank data entry form. You can scroll through the name records by using the Previous and Next button. If you cannot save a record, click the Hint button to get a clue of what still needs to be done to make a record savable. Cancel reverses any changes you may have made to a record since the last time you saved it. Delete removes the name record from your list of names. Clicking View brings up a menu where you can choose to view the details that have been entered for this name record in a report format, or preview some documents concerning this name record, such as a name tag, a mailing label, an invoice, statement, or receipt. Join allows you to join two name records together. You sometimes notice that a duplicate record has been entered inadvertently. Each record may have some critical information that you would like to keep, so deleting one of the records is out of the question. Pick one record to start with and then click Join. Pick the duplicate record from the Join panel and then pick and choose what contact information or other information you would like to keep from each record. The donations and purchases and payments will be joined from both records. Global Changes allows you to make some changes to all pertinent records at once. Maybe you have a bunch of people marked as donors and they have not donated this year. In Global Changes, using filters and refinements, you can see all the name records marked as donors who have not made a donation in this project and mark them all as invitees and then remove the donor flag from their record all at once. In Global Changes, you can also delete a bunch of name records all at once. The default view of name data entry is the panel view, but there's another view called Grid View, which I will show you in another slide in this presentation. The Details button allows you to change what panels will be shown in the name entry form. The default is Standard, which shows the panels for name, address, name type, and affiliations, attendance, volunteer contact, ticket purchases, and the register. Another choice in this button is Express Details, which not only limits the panels to name, name type, attendance, and ticket purchases, it also limits the fields in those panels to essential fields. Complete Details is another choice, which shows all panels and all details. Of course, no matter what details you choose for the default, Standard, Express, or Complete, you can always hide or unhide certain panels you do not want to see. The next button controls how you want to get from field to field inside a panel. The default is to click on fields, but you can change that to a tab so you can tab between fields. Lastly, we have the Panels Open and the Panels Close buttons. When I get tired of scrolling through open panels or just want to figure out where I am at in the form, I click Panels Closed, which closes everything up, and I can read the summary of what has already been entered in the panel on the outside. This is the panel view of names data entry. At the bottom of the name entry form is the list of panels in that form. If the panel name button is a solid dark color, that panel is part of the form above. If the panel button is pale, that panel is hidden in the form above. Hiding panels can make navigation easier. For example, if I'm only interested in checking on addresses, I can hide all the other panels so that the only panels in the form above will be the name entry panel, which can never be hidden, and the address panel. This is name data entry in Grid View. All the information entered in a name entry form for a name record in the list of names on the left is shown in columns to the right of that name. Scroll through the columns using the scroll bar at the bottom. Scroll through the records by using the scroll bar on the right. You can sort the records by any column by clicking on that column header. You cannot type in any cell on the grid. To edit or add something to a cell in the grid, double-click on the row of that record in question, and a name entry panel for that name record will pop up in front of the grid. Make the changes in the appropriate panel and save and close. The panel form will go away and the grid will be updated. When doing a lot of data entry, the grid view is much slower than the panel view, but the grid view is a great way to check for missing information after you've done a lot of data entry. Now let's look at the data entry for names screen when you first get to it. If you have any names in your data set, they will appear on the left. There are some filter buttons above the list. The default list of names on the left is All Names, which is the first icon. All Names includes all households and companies. The icons to the right will filter this list to subsets of all names. Name type and attendance panels will be discussed in detail in later videos in this series, but what gets entered in those panels controls which name records will show up in the list associated with each of the other filter buttons. This next button, with the envelope icon, will filter all the name records down to only people that are marked as a name type invitee. The I in this column stands for records marked as invitee. D stands for donors, V stands for volunteers, and A indicates that at least one person in the household or company record is marked as attending. So if you choose the invitee filter, you will only see records in your list of names that have an I in this column. They may also be marked as donor, volunteer, or attendee, but at a minimum they are marked as invitee. The next icon is RSVP. This will filter the list below to records in which at least one person in the record has been marked as attending in their individual attendance panel. The next icon will filter this list to donors, and the last icon will filter the list to volunteers. On the right side of the screen, you will first see the help system. Click on the name in the list and their name entry form will pop up if you're in panel view. To get back to the help system, click the question mark. To look for a particular name in any list of names, start typing the name in the search field, and the list below will filter down to any name record that has that combination of letters in any part of their first name, last name, or company name. When adding a new name to the project, click the plus sign on the ribbon at the top. Please see the next tutorial in this series in which I will show you the top panel in the name entry form, the Names panel. Thank you for joining us.